The Einstein quotes at the beginning of my video seem to have rubbed you the wrong way. It should have been clear to you that the arguments I were making had nothing to do with Einstein. If I had shown the quotes and said, ta-da, end of story, maybe you'd have a point. But really, what I did was juxtapose the incoherent ramblings of Captain Awesome with one of the greatest thinkers mankind has ever produced, Albert Einstein. Simply to set the mood, let people know basically who we're dealing with here with Captain Awesome. His things he said about Buddhism were so ridiculous, and the juxtaposition with Einstein quotes served its purpose well. You go on, Einstein was a natural scientist, not a social scientist, completely irrelevant, and you let us know that Einstein doesn't know everything. Be that as it may, Einstein can and did have an opinion on Buddhism. How relevant that is, depending on you. It's not why I became a Buddhist. I don't think it's, but it made its point. You do admit Captain Awesome had a fundamental misunderstanding of the Noble Truths. We'd agree. You had a problem with what I said in my video was that Captain Awesome seems to equate consumerism or materialism with happiness. And you pointed out that he said a higher quality of life increases happiness. What Captain Awesome was getting at was that money, more money, equals a better standard of living, equals happiness, right? That's what he was saying. The study I pointed out clearly contradicted that, and there's many more studies. You can Google it. Study after study has been done on this. Wealth isn't a factor in happiness. There are very wealthy people in this country that are very unhappy. Very wealthy people in this country that commit suicide. In fact, suicide rates, I mean, what? you talked about Ireland and blah, blah, blah. The fact is, Venezuela ranked at the top. Venezuela, Nigeria, and then the United States, the richest nation on earth, in 8th place. A nation that spends more than the rest of the world combined on military. A nation that controls 40-50% of the world's wealth, consumes like 40% of natural resources in the world. I mean, you go on and on. We're only like 4% of the world's population. I mean, the wealth is staggering in this country. So the fact that we're 8th is a big deal. Because when you consider the wealth of the United States compared to the wealth of a country like Venezuela, there's no comparison. So, anyways, I'll rest that. You seem to project something on me about Australia. I watched the video again and again, and as far as I can tell, I said Australia just like I said Ireland or Nigeria or Venezuela or any of the other countries. There was no surprise on my part that Australians are happy, and as an Australian, I'm glad you're happy. Kudos to you. Wegla Khan was a Buddhist. Here's the bone of contention here. His mother was a Christian, his wife was a Christian, his top generals were Christians, and you quote, I don't know where in the article you see this, I've read that he favored Tibetan Buddhism. There's some speculation that he may have converted later in life. Certainly had nothing to do with the sack of Baghdad, which you admit. Whether or not he was a Buddhist seems speculative at best. I don't see any evidence to support that. You quote, his favorite religion is Tibetan Buddhism. Even if that's true, that doesn't make him a Buddhist. I know a lot of atheists, a lot of non-religious people like yourself who consider Buddhism their favorite religion. They're not Buddhists. Probably never be Buddhists, and that's okay. So I more to the point, when Buddhists don't celebrate, Wegla Khan is some great Buddhist. That should be clear. Whether or not he was, seems irrelevant. We both agree that he didn't sack Baghdad because he was a Buddhist. You go on, Tibetan theocracies and Buddhism. It's specious reasoning. Clearly, I don't attack Christianity because of what Jehovah's Witnesses do, right? I mean, we want to attack a religion. Let's attack what it teaches, what its exemplar preached and did. That's the way you go. Because otherwise, you could pretty much come with any argument about any religion, because you're going to find some tiny little sect of weirdos in any religion that do something weird, like, we had here David Koresh and the people in Waco, Anyways, you get my drift. One of the weirdest things you said, Captain Awesome made some crazy argument that there are more Buddhists than atheists in prison. I don't know, there are more, Buddhism's way worse than atheism. Anyhow, I said that fact proved nothing, and it doesn't. I went on to say that one possible explanation is that a lot of people turn to religion once they go into prison. It's very common. It's happened to my cousin. It's happened to other, it's very common. People turn to Christianity, Judaism, all types of religions. And that's a fact. You said if that were true, then we would see this drop in crime rates and this rise in Buddhists. Look, I didn't say everybody goes in prison and converts to Buddhism. I mean, even the rates that Captain Awesome was quoting were like, maybe 5%. I mean, if that. I think it was that, like 2%. And like atheists were like a fraction of a percent. It's retarded. Come on. It's not like everybody's going into prison and converting to Buddhism and coming out and becoming model citizens. That's not my point. People in prison convert to religion for numerous reasons. Some of them not so noble. Maybe to look good, maybe to look good for a parole board. A lot of stuff going on here. Let's not try to make it too simplistic. The fact that there are more Buddhists than atheists, again, proves nothing about Buddhism. And you continue to say that Buddhism is stupid and evil. And I'd just like to finish. For one, you criticized me for, you said I should make an argument. I did make an argument. My argument was that Captain Awesome didn't know what he was talking about. Now, my argument wasn't that Buddhism is the most wonderful religion and you should all be Buddhists. I don't think that, and I don't proselytize. So, I did make an argument. I made a rather strong argument. A number of atheists have stopped by and commented as such. I love atheists. So, what I would, challenge you to do is make a real argument that Buddhism is stupid and evil. First, you'd have to define evil. What do you mean by evil? I mean, what makes Buddhism evil? Because certain Buddhists have done bad things? I don't know. And stupid. What exactly is stupid about Buddhism? What is stupid about being compassionate? Developing skills that help you deal with life? So you didn't make an argument at all other than to say Captain Awesome's right and I love him. It wasn't an argument. Basically, you agreed he didn't know anything about Buddhism. Kublai Khan didn't sack Baghdad because he was a Buddhist. Where's your argument? Are you resting it on this retarded thing that, there's more Buddhists in prison? And just to put the prison thing in perspective, blacks. There's way more blacks. Blacks are incarcerated at a much higher rate than whites. So, does that mean that black people are worse than white people? No, of course not. What it means is, or what it represents, is that our justice system in the United States is inherently racist. Yes, it's racist. Otherwise, you'd have to believe that black people are inherently, or have a propensity to commit crimes at a higher rate than white people. It's not true. The fact that they're, blacks are incarcerated at 5 times the rate of white people proves nothing about the nature of black people. Though it does say a lot about our justice system. So, think these things through, and good arguing with you. Peace.